Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH The Flame Emperor episode number 21 based on novel. So let's start. Let's go. You also got up and led the way. Seeing this, Xiao Yan also got up and followed. There was still some distance from Qing Yuan's resting place, and then Xiao Yang was also itching to ask his master, the Golden Dragon King. Master, which sect do we want to join? Xiao Yang was also looking forward to the explanation given by Yu just now. The place where the real powerhouses of the Xianling continent gather, Shen Santian. Xiao Yang also believes that there will be a very exciting place. Hey, even though there is such a big twist in the beast ruins this time, the heaven's favored sons near Qingcheng have not obtained good fortune, but let you get the good fortune of this beast ruins, so the messengers who come to receive them will definitely pay attention. Yes, and I will take the initiative to invite you to join the Xianling royal family, but this Xianling royal family is not a good bird. I have traveled to this Xianling royal family before. I remember that a young royal family went to the head for medicine for his humble wife, and the royal family directly sentenced the woman to death. It's also famous for the good of that man. In my opinion, the Xianling royal family used to maintain their identity because the man was a member of the royal family, with noble blood, and the person he liked turned out to be ordinary people. So in my opinion, the Xianling royal family is just driven by the royal family who controls the Xianling continent. If there is no royal family's Dozian in charge, do you think this Xianling royal family can become the top power on this continent? Although this Xianling royal family is indeed the strongest sect, it's not an exaggeration, who has a strong background of fighting immortals, but if you really talk about it with other sects, this Xianling royal family is the hottest chicken. Other powerful sects on the Xianling continent have a clear management reward and punishment mechanism. It does not depend on your other birth status. It depends on your hard work and dedication, so that everyone has the opportunity to compete for cultivation resources, but the Xianling royal family is different. As long as you have an identity, you can hold the sky with one hand inside. The Golden Dragon King also tried to recall. I can't imagine that the hearts of this royal family are so dark. Xiao Yang also smacked his lips. This royal family did this. Aren't they afraid of being overthrown? So there should be a lot of forces in these years who are secretly dissatisfied with the rule of the royal family, but they are helpless behind the royal family. The royal family has a strategic role, so they don't dare to act rashly. The Golden Dragon King said slowly. And I vaguely guess that the Holy Flame also seems to be related to the Xianling royal family. The Golden Dragon King's eyes were also deep at this moment. So, do I still want to join the Xianling royal family? Xiao Yang asked. No, although the power of flame on your body is not as powerful as that of Saint Flame, it is also extremely powerful. It is inevitable that there will be some people who want to replace you, and with Dozian sitting in the town, my existence may also be discovered. From what I have seen before, now the Soul Clan may also collude with Solomon, and I have to hide some. And there is another purpose for our trip to the Xianling continent. My old friend doesn't know if it's okay now, and Shenyang must get it. If the situation allows, the matter of Soul Race and Solomon gotta figure it out. Before, to awe she was not less plotted by the Soul Clan. As he spoke, a trace of resentment flashed in the eyes of the Golden Dragon King. Master, I have written it down, don't worry. Xiao Yang also said comfortably. The two were speechless and walked to a wooden house. Her situation seems to be helpless even for my father, so be prepared. Yu said suddenly outside the quiet wooden house. Yeah. Xiao Yang was also very surprised at what happened to Qing Yuan. He didn't know that Yu, the lord of the Yu family, could be as strong as a 5-star Dodi, but now that he has his master, there should be no need to worry too much. Hey, you underestimate the little girl Qing Yuan too. A mere 5-star Dodi strong person is not worthy to carry shoes for others in the future. Even if the Golden Dragon King was entrenched in the ring, Xiao Yang's thoughts were a little different. Clearly, compared to Xiao Yang, he was helpless, and wailed, could his master, the Golden Dragon King, be able to rely on his own thoughts? Squeak. The slightly closed wooden hut was gently opened by Yu. Xiao Yang didn't have time to think about it, and followed in. The small house is simple and unadorned, but it has everything it should have. Gently walking towards the bed, a beautiful figure lay flat on it, looking carefully. This figure is quite attractive. The only downside is that the beautiful figure on the bed is tightly closed, and there is a whole body around. A stream of pure white light surrounds. Qing Yuan. Xiao Yang also frowned, then looked at the woman on the bed and called softly. You can't wake her up like this. With my father's ability, I have found a lot of powerful experts. Even if they are well informed, there is no way to compare. Yueru's beautiful eyes sank slightly. Obviously also worried about the bed. Xiao Yang said that this seems to be just her sister. Oh, some power has overflowed, it seems that time is running out. The voice of the Golden Dragon King also sounded slowly in Xiao Yang's heart. Master, what is this situation? Xiao Yang also used his soul power to transmit his voice to his master Jinlong King. With his extensive knowledge, he obviously knew this situation. Hey, didn't I tell you before that I need to refine that solid foundation pill? What you want to know will be revealed when it is refined. Before this, it was in a hurry. The Golden Dragon King said in the same tone as before. Then she is so sure that there is no problem? Xiao Yang was obviously worried, and then searched for it. Absolutely no problem. At least in this month, there is no problem. If it is longer, then I don't know. The Golden Dragon King also said seriously. Xiao Yang also forgot that Yueru was still here, and focused on inquiring about Qing Yuan with his master, the Golden Dragon King. Yu also looked at Xiao Yang, who was staring blankly at the bed in surprise. She laughed and muttered to herself. I can't believe that Xiao Yang cares so much about his sister. Then now that the medicinal materials are complete, let's start refining the medicinal pills. Xiao Yang also suddenly came back to his senses. So suddenly? Yueru was also puzzled. Well, I can't help it. The medicinal materials of this medicine pill are the ones I finally got, and they should be able to cure Qing Yuan's condition. Also, she has been in a coma for several days, and now she can only use a dead horse as a living horse doctor. Xiao Yang also said helplessly. Then it's not too late, I'll take you to the alchemy room. Yu also knew the seriousness of the matter and took the lead to lead the way. Then Aunt Laro, you will be cold. Xiao Yang also quickly followed. In the quiet wooden house, Xiao Yang also closed his eyes and calmly adjusted his state. According to his master Jinlong King, this solid foundation Peiyuan Dan is also the peak of the first order Tiandan. If it is not adjusted to the best state, Xiao Yang will not dare to rashly take action. After all, the medicinal materials are extremely limited. The first-order imperial-grade medicinal pills are divided into 3 levels of heaven, earth, and profound. Xiao Yang has to pay attention to the fact that this solid-base Peiyuan pill can be ranked at the top of the first-grade emperor. In the midst of such business, a simple jade pendant that recorded the souls of Zuna and the others slowly fell out and caught Xiao Yang's eyes. Zuna, Kaylin, how are you all? Xiao Yang also muttered to himself. On the Dochi continent on weekdays, Zuna and Kaylin were always by his side. He didn't notice the big nervous lines, but now that he left, he suddenly felt that something was missing, and his heart felt a little empty. And after discovering his emotions, he was quite annoyed again, because he remembered that since he came to this Dudi continent, he had separated the now missing Zuna and Kaylin, the usually gentle and moving girl. Just like spring water, it penetrates people's hearts unknowingly. With a cold but tender color scale, the two of them are deeply imprinted in the depths of their hearts. No matter what, they can't get rid of them. And when he thought of that elegant girl with a hint of mystery, Xiao Yang couldn't help but stop the flame in his hand, and cast his eyes from the wooden house, but he didn't know which direction to cast, and for a while, he could only sigh and murmur in a low voice. Zuna, Kaylin, you have to wait for me. I will find you as soon as possible. Don't be distracted, I will take you to find them when the matter here is over. The Golden Dragon King also saw Xiao Yang's thoughts, and then comforted him. Let's start the fire. The Golden Dragon King said. In a world outside the Xianling continent, there are 7 mountain peaks shrouded in clouds and mist, and the 7 mountain peaks are slowly intertwined, as if forming a mysterious rune. One of the 7 peaks, in front of an exquisite attic, a slender green shadow sat on a stone platform and stared blankly into the distance. Worthy of a grasp, 3,000 blue silks were casually tied with a lavender ribbon. The breeze was blowing, and the blue silk fluttered, giving the girl a refined temperament. The girl's beautiful eyes revealed a faint golden color. She seemed to sense something moving in the attic. She closed her eyes slightly. After a while, she finally slowly opened. After dispersing, the mountain top became clear and visible. Father, are you back? The girl turned back suddenly, her rosy mouth spit out lightly, and an ethereal silver bell-like clear voice echoed from the top of the mountain. And as her voice fell, the shadow under a corner of the attic not far away suddenly wriggled strangely, and immediately turned into a familiar figure. It was Jiyu Yuan. When Jiyu Yuan appeared, he also looked at the girl in front of him lovingly. Father, how about you rest first? Is there any news about him? The girl suddenly sat up from the stone platform and turned around. Showing that smiling cheek with a clear lotus and refined temperament, at this moment, in the voice that is always difficult to fluctuate, there is actually a little more impatient. And this cheek, other than the Zuna who made Xiao Yangchao think about it at night, who else could it be? But no matter how she changes, there is still one thing that remains, that is, when she hears the news about that name, Jiyu Jingwubu's state of mind will ripple in circles. Perhaps as Ling Ying had expected at the beginning, there would be a shadow in Zuna's heart forever. This shadow, even the stubborn coercion of the clan, would be difficult to erase. He clearly heard the urgency in Zuna's tone, and Jiyu Yuan sighed in his heart. I can't believe what Ling Ying said is true. When he was on Dochi continent, Ling Ying once told Jiyu Yuan about this, but Jiyu Yuan didn't take it to heart. Only when she hears about young Master Xiao Yang, will she truly be like an ordinary girl. She is usually as unmoving as a mountain, but she is like those old monsters who have been cultivating for many years, but it lacks the liveliness that a girl should have. Ling Ying said. These thoughts flashed in his heart, but Jiyu Yuan had a doting look on his face, smiled and shook his head. Don't worry, Zuna, Xiao Yang will be fine. Jiyu Yuan also hurriedly comforted him. Yeah. Zuna also responded slightly. I'm still going out looking for Xiao Yang. But Zuna, you can be more careful recently. This place is no better than the ancients on the Dochi continent. Although I don't know why, the people here seem to have other plans for you. Jiyu Yuan also said. After coming out of the mysterious passage of Dochi continent, they seemed to be separated. Zuna and her father went to one place, and Kailin and Jukuan also seemed to be missing. Zuna and Jiyu Yuan also gradually knew some of the rules of this Dodi, and they found the ancient tribe on Dodi continent by relying on the power of blood. The ancients were also the leading forces on the Dodi continent. With the addition of Jiyu Yuan and Zuna, they were also very welcome. Being able to advance from Dochi continent to Dodi continent could mean a lot. Moreover, when the stewards of the ancient clan discovered the bloodline of the gods in Zuna's body and the Golden Emperor Fen Tianyang, their attitudes changed greatly, and they gave Jiyu Yuan a mountain as a place to practice and live. The 7 peaks are called Xianxian Peak by the people in the clan. As the name suggests, each mountain is inhabited by people who have made outstanding contributions to the ancient clan, or are powerful enough to fight immortals. Zuna and the others were also surprised why they were treated this way. It stands to reason that even the bloodline of the gods is only useful before the Emperor Do. After all, it is the purest bloodline of the gods, so there is only one possibility. The Golden Emperor Fen Tianyang in her body. Zuna also clearly remembered that Emperor Jin's Fen Tianyang ranked 4th on the Dochi continent's list of different fires, and the color was golden. Although it is not as mysterious as the Jinglian demon fire, it has a splendid name in ancient times, and this kind of strange fire is the fire inherited from their ancient clan. Even before Zuna, few people can conquer it. The Golden Emperor Fen Tianyang was a terrifying fire that claimed that even his fighting spirit would be burned. Legend has it that the first owner of the Golden Emperor Fen Tianyang, when he cast this fire, directly burned the space created by a strong fighting saint into nothingness. However, after thinking to no avail, Zuna and Jiyu Yuan also stayed, planning to find Xiao Yang and leave the ancient clan. Because although it is an ancient clan, when they entered the ancient clan, it was strange, and they did not see the patriarch and some elders of the ancient clan at all. And the breath of these ancient people is also a bit strange. Hearing that his father did not find Xiao Yang either, a delicate jade pendant appeared on Zuna's slender jade hand. This is the soul jade given by Xiao Yang. The jade hand gently touched the slowly beating patterns on the jade pendant, and Zuna muttered to himself outside the old man's mountain. Brother Xiao Yang, do you know? Zuna misses you so much, take it away. Said the Golden Dragon King's soul power instantly poured into the Emperor Flame Ring, and then an exquisite medicine tripod also appeared in front of the two from the ring. Seeing this, Xiao Yang also nodded in satisfaction, and then the milky white flames poured into the medicine cauldron and surged violently, constantly releasing terrifying temperatures, but no matter how the temperature skyrocketed, the red medicine cauldron still did not the slightest movement. Even if the temperature inside is terrifyingly high, its exterior is still as cool as ice. Good tripod. Xiao Yang was also helpless about this, so he had to ask for help from his master, the Golden Dragon King. Hey, I want to deceive something from me again. The Golden Dragon King said helplessly. He stared at this behemoth with fiery eyes. After a while, Xiao Yang couldn't help but praised, even though he hadn't used this cauldron to start refining medicine pills, but after this test, he was I can guess how helpful this medicine cauldron is for alchemy, And I can even say that using this medicine cauldron for alchemy can even improve the success rate a lot. For a pharmacist, what else is there? Something is more attractive than a medicine tripod that can improve the success rate of alchemy. The fiery red medicine cauldron is quite sturdy, and a fiery red flame is faintly lingering around it. Xiao Yan clearly remembers that his master Yarrow Larrow said that not all medicine tripods can have multiple burners, because the arrangement of each burner requires extremely precise polishing, otherwise it will be impossible. Cast out a good tripod. Therefore, if a medicine cauldron has multiple vents in front of it, there is a very high possibility that it is a good cauldron. Xiao Yang stared at this imposing medicine cauldron with bright eyes, and couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Compared with his master, the medicine cauldron he used was undoubtedly extremely shabby. Master, I can't help but use a medicine cauldron. You also said that it is quite difficult for me to refine this at my current level. Xiao Yang also looked at his master, the Golden Dragon King, depressed. Although there are many things in the Emperor Flame Ring left by his master Tuorsha Gudi, Xiao Yang has also tried it. Even with fighting chi or soul power, he can't find out the situation in the ring clearly. He wants to come to Tuorsha. It was also because he was afraid that Xiao Yang would become an illiterate person, so he deliberately set a ban. On the surface of the medicine cauldron, a lifelike flame pattern was drawn, and when Xiao Yang's milky white flames poured into the medicine cauldron after that, the medicine tripod also slowly rotated. The flame patterns on the surface of the medicine cauldron turned out to be like real objects, and Xiao Yang could even sense that faint flame energy was condensing around the medicine cauldron. The most conspicuous thing about the medicine cauldron is that there are 7 tigers' mouths around the cauldron. The 7 tigers' mouths are naturally arranged on it, and the size of the flame can be controlled at any time. It will not be too strong to damage the medicinal materials, nor will it be too small to waste time. And, this medicine tripod is obviously not just gorgeous in appearance. Judging from the flame patterns around it and the self-condensed flame energy of the 7 flaming ports, it is obvious that it has a considerable increase in refining medicine. The medicine cauldron, like the flame, is the most important thing in the hands of the alchemist. A good medicine cauldron can greatly improve the success rate of alchemy. This medicine cauldron, others call it blazing flames. Tuorsha really spent a lot of money to get it back then. Looking at the fiery red medicine cauldron suspended in mid-air, the Golden Dragon King was also deeply touched. Telling. Jian. It really deserves its reputation. Xiao Yang shook his head in admiration. He, who had not been in too much contact with Yarrow, naturally did not know the name. However, Xiao Yang also knew that a good medicine cauldron had the same fanatical attraction to a pharmacist as a strange fire. Similar to the Holy Flame list, there is also a Holy Cauldron list in the field of medicine refining. As the name suggests, the Ding list records those extremely perfect and outstanding medicine cauldrons. Among the Ding list, there are 13 cauldrons. Each of these medicinal cauldrons has the magic power that makes countless alchemists rush for it. And in that cauldron, the cauldron ranked 18th is the so-called blazing flame. Seeing Xiao Yang's astonished appearance, the Golden Dragon King also smiled. However, he did not open his mouth to explain the origin of the tripod in front of him, and his palms trembled slightly. Milky white flames quickly swirled around the palm of his hand. Xiao Yang slowly pressed his palm to a diamond-shaped flame of Kai Yang. With a flick of the fingers, the milky white flames lingered in the cauldron. For the alchemist, the different fire and the holy flame are also the power of flames born from the heavens and the earth. They are used to refine medicine pills. The medicine pills they make are also much better than ordinary medicine pills. In the churning of the milky white flame, the temperature inside the medicine cauldron gradually reached the level required by Xiao Yang, and taking advantage of this time, he also repeatedly looked at the refining method of Guban Peiyuan pill. The prescription for this pill was passed to him by the Golden Dragon King at the beginning, but because he was busy with the ruins at the time, he never touched it. After flipping the recipe for Guban Peiyuan Dan back and forth several times in his mind, Xiao Yang's mind gradually settled down. With a wave of his sleeve robe, the medicinal herbs in front of him were directly sent into the flames with a clever energy. Inside the medicine tripod. Ah! Xiao Yang couldn't help shivering. It shouldn't be. When he was refining the medicine pill, the temperature of the strange fire was so high, how could it be? Little Yenzi, don't be distracted. The Golden Dragon King also said viciously, this solid foundation Peiyuan Dan is quite difficult to refine in the first rank of the Emperor now is the stage of fire. The distraction is this kid dared to be distracted when it was most prone to accidents. Xiao Yang's thinking was fruitless, and a more powerful flame emerged and poured into the cauldron, trying to speed up the melting speed of the medicinal material. Xiao Yang first calmed down a bit, then flicked his fingers, and a wisp of milky white flame emerged from his fingertips. With the appearance of the flame, the temperature of the wooden house suddenly rose, but this naturally did not hinder Xiao Yang in the slightest. Effect. He stared at the medicine cauldron tightly, and after a while, he waved his hand, and the milky white flame was shooting out, and finally followed the fire opening of the red medicine cauldron, into the medicine tripod. As the milky white flames poured into the medicine cauldron one after another, the medicine cauldron suddenly expanded, and the inside of the wooden house turned into a raging flame, which rose and burned. With a sound, the pitch-black medicine cauldron in the wooden house exploded. This. Compared with Xiao Yang, he was helpless. If he were an ordinary alchemist, using a flame catalyzed by fighting qi, this cauldron would naturally be able to withstand it, but his own flame was caused by 13 kinds of different fires were fused together, but ordinary medicine cauldrons could not contain such terrifying flames. Seeing this, Xiao Yang also hurriedly recalled the scattered flames in the wooden house, and then left a small flame in the middle of the wooden house to slowly surround the medicinal herbs with traces of melting. Looking at the fire-red medicine cauldron in front of him, Xiao Yang took a deep breath, opened his mouth, and a huge cloud of milky white flame was sprayed out. With a flick of his finger, the flame took a beautiful arc and broke into the medicine cauldron. Inside, it suddenly exploded. The raging fire was constantly churning in the medicine cauldron, and the increasing temperature made the wooden house gradually feel a little hotter. While the flames were rising, Xiao Yang waved his sleeve robe, and the medicinal herbs flew out of the naji immediately. Immediately, they were suspended in the air in the wooden house under the package of a grudge, like a piece of radiating energy. The ray of light is generally a small group of light, and it looks quite gorgeous from below. Guban Peiyuan Dan. The first-order Tian-level pill of the Emperor's grade has the magical effect of improving physical fitness, stimulating the potential of sleep in the body, and improving the amazing magical effect of cultivation talent. The materials required for refining are extremely cumbersome, and there are about 107 kinds. Among them, the main materials are divided into 5 kinds: snow cream ji, greenwood fruit, dragon blood fairy vine, emperor-level dragon demon core and emperor-level or higher-level warcraft blood essence, 5 kinds of materials, all of which are rare. It is quite difficult to find things, but thanks to the fact that there are some materials in the ring of my master, and the magic core in the ruins, Xiao Yang has only one chance, and the refining method is quite for being particular and demanding. The refining method of Guban Peiyuan Dan slowly emerged in Xiao Yang's mind, and some key points were imprinted in his mind without missing a word. It is the first time Xiao Yang has seen 107 refining materials that require such a large amount of medicinal herbs. Even in the previous assessment by the Alchemist Association, it was not so complicated. It can be seen that this solid foundation cultivates vitality. The difficulty of refining the pill is probably even higher than the previous transforming pill. Numerous thoughts flashed through my mind. After being expelled by Xiao Yang, he raised his head, sensed the temperature in the medicine cauldron, nodded slightly, and drew his fingers slightly, only to see the surging milky white flames burning in the medicine cauldron, and suddenly gradually weakened. His eyes were fixed on the medicine cauldron. After a while, Xiao Yang moved his fingers, and a beam of light swept in, which immediately turned into a milky white Ganoderma lucidum and landed in his hands. As soon as this Ganoderma lucidum appeared, it was filled with a strong icy aura, and in this icy cold, a rather pure energy fluctuation could be faintly felt. This is one of the main materials for refining Guban Peiyuan Dan, snow cream ji, which is also quite difficult to form, at least in extremely cold places. It is possible to break through the ground in the land of ice and snow. Xiao Yang gently rubbed the surface of the snow cream with his fingers. Feeling the slightly cold and pure energy contained in it, he let out a sigh of relief, flicked his fingers, and Shui Gaoji turned into a red glow and was thrown into the medicine cauldron. With the input of Shui Gaoji, the milky white flame that was dormant in the medicine cauldron suddenly surged up like a hungry wolf, swallowing one bite. Just as the flames engulfed the snow cream ji, Xiao Yang flicked with his 10 fingers, only to see the numerous light spots suspended in mid-air, immediately divided nearly 10, and put them all into the medicine cauldron end to end, without hesitation. Into the flames. Shui Gaoji is naturally cold, and it will die when it touches fire. If you want to quench the medicinal liquid in it, it must have other medicines to neutralize the coldness, and the medicine cauldron previously put into it. The medicinal herbs are the neutralizing things that have been prepared in advance. With so many medicinal materials being refined at the same time, the requirements for soul power are quite strict, but it is fortunate that Xiao Yang now possesses such qualifications and strength. The many medicinal materials that broke into the flames, in a few breaths of contact with the milky white fire, quickly withered, and finally turned into powder, and a drop of pure medicinal liquid was left behind. Under the subtle control of Xiao Yang's soul power, it blended slightly, and then evenly dripped onto the increasingly withered snow cream. With the dripping of these medicinal liquids, the milky white on the snow cream began to slowly fade, and pieces of white powder skin fell off from it. In just a moment, the color of the snow cream became pale. Stand up. A few drops of pale white medicinal liquid spilled on the blood-red powder skin, and immediately, under the constant temperature around, the skin melted quietly. Waiting slowly. Seeing the speed of the snow cream in the cauldron melting like a snail, Xiao Yang did not relax. With a flick of his finger, he began to refine the second medicinal material. Multitasking with one mind, dividing the power of the soul into multiple parts to control the extraction of medicinal materials, this is the capital of Xiao Yang. Inside the fiery red giant cauldron, the snow cream is slowly being melted by the strange fire. Aokigo was just thrown into the cauldron, and the turbulent milky white flame devoured it directly, but the strange thing was that the terrifying high temperature of the milky white flame did not achieve much effect against Aokigwa. It really deserves to be a green tree fruit. The palm-sized fruit with its green body is actually harder than shui gaoji, Xiao Yang also muttered to himself. The extraction of the green wood fruit lasted for an hour. After the outermost green skin peeled off, the golden yellow fruit inside was revealed. Xiao Yang also knew that this was the hardest part of the green wood fruit. Increase the intensity of the flame. The medicine tripod is divided into two parts of the world. Snow cream ji and greenwood fruit are each wrapped in a flame and slowly melting. And with the investment of dragon blood immortal vine, the tripod is also showing a three-legged situation. The rarity of dragon blood fairy vine is slightly better than the first two. After all, the birth of this medicinal material is also extremely harsh, and it must be born in a place bathed in dragon blood. As soon as the dragon blood vine entered the cauldron, it was surrounded by raging fire, and then Xiao Yang waved his hand, and several medicinal materials were also thrown into the cauldron. The power of the dragon blood vine is too domineering, it must be neutralize it with other medicinal materials, otherwise the pill will be destroyed when it becomes a pill. After doing all this, Xiao Yang also felt relieved when he saw the three-legged situation in the medicine cauldron, and with a wave of his palm, a demon core was thrown directly into the cauldron. This is the dragon demon core obtained from the bloodthirsty dragon lizard. The demon core is not too skillful, it can be slowly melted and melted by the flame. Seeing the success of the first step of refining, Xiao Yang also breathed a sigh of relief. With a wave of his palm, the flame enveloped it, slowly exuding warmth. The volume of the four flames gradually shrinks, and the medicinal materials in them are also slowly melting. Refining medicinal pills itself is an extremely time-consuming task, and the more advanced the medicinal herbs are, the more precious the medicinal materials are, and the longer it takes. After all, this is not an ordinary medicine pill, because Xiao Yang, the power of flame that combines 23 kinds of different fires, is so time-consuming to deal with this medicinal material. The refining of the three main materials is extremely demanding. If there is no special extraction method, it is difficult to extract the medicinal power that you need from it. If you are not careful, there will even be a fried cauldron. This is the case with shui gaoji, and even more so with dragon blood immortal vine. The extraction of shui gaoji is even more difficult than the transformation pills that were made by the Refining Pharmacist Association. Nearly 20 kinds of ingredients were neutralized, and it took Xiao Yang about 4 days. A drop of white liquid like bone marrow was successfully extracted from it. After the successful extraction of shui gaoji, Xiao Yang also extracted the dragon blood vine. The so-called dragon blood vine itself is extremely hard, and it becomes even harder after bathing in dragon blood. It is rumored that this dragon blood vine also contains a trace of dragon blood, not wood or gold, and the most amazing thing is that this thing has been bathed in dragon blood, so its fire resistance is quite high. Even Xiao Yang, with the help of the different fire, it took 3 full days to make the surface crack open. When the dragon blood vine was cracked, more than 20 light clusters flew into the medicine cauldron in mid-air, in order to neutralize the violent aura in the dragon blood vine, and finally those auxiliary medicinal materials were destroyed by Xiao Yang. All refining, turning into droplets of medicinal liquid containing pure power, falling on the ivy. With the help of the reconciling power of these many medicinal materials, the violent dragon blood pressure was suppressed. About half an hour later, the dragon blood fairy vine, which was like a dead branch, finally burst open, a little faint. The red powder spilled out from it, and was finally solidified into a red powder ball by Xiao Yang's soul power. The refining of the two medicinal materials is completed, naturally waiting for the last greenwood fruit to complete the first step of refining medicine, extracting and refining the medicinal materials. It is strange to say that the hardness of this green tree fruit is slightly better than that of snow cream and dragon blood vine. Even if Xiao Yang fuses the flame power of 23 kinds of different fires, it costs a full 6. It took a few days to completely extract it. Compared to Xiao Yang, he couldn't help but smack his lips. The 3 main ingredients were successfully refined. Looking at this scene, Xiao Yang and the Golden Dragon King floating in the air breathed a sigh of relief. The quick refining techniques of Xiao Yang before, but the Golden Dragon King was dazzled. Although he didn't know much about alchemy pills, but from Xiao Yang's refining techniques, it is still possible to see a trace of smoothness like flowing clouds and water. This kind of refining is quite pleasing to the eye. When he saw that Xiao Yang's soul power was divided into 3 and he was refining 3 kinds of medicinal materials at the same time, he could not help but be surprised because of the concentration of the Golden Dragon King. No one has ever been able to do this. After all, refining medicine requires a huge amount of soul power as a backup. Xiao Yang's soul power is divided into 3 parts and refining 3 medicinal materials at the same time, and the load on himself is quite large, and Xiao Yang is also carrying out several medicinal materials at the same time. Although the refining time has been greatly shortened, the load on one's own soul power is undoubtedly huge. The most feared thing in refining medicine pills is the sudden depletion of soul power in the middle of the process. The Golden Dragon King is also worried about Xiao Yang's appearance. What kind of accident? The damage is small, and the injury is more than the loss. But fortunately, Xiao Yang succeeded. This method of refining medicine by dividing into 3, even the Tuo Shi back then did not have such a method. After refining the 3 main ingredients, the magic core was also defeated by the raging fire of Xiao Yang, and turned into a meatball the size of a naked eye. Seeing the appearance of the square inside the tripod, he also took a short rest, concentrated again, pondered for a while, took out a jade bottle from the ring, the bottle mouth slowly tilted, and immediately, a familiar drop of scarlet blood dripped down. The scarlet blood was floating in front of Xiao Yang. Although the blood volume was small, the violence and energy contained in it was not at all dare to be underestimated. This so-called scarlet blood is naturally extracted by Xiao Yang from the bloodthirsty dragon lizard in the ruins. From the beast that is comparable to the human 4-star fighting emperor, it can be seen that its level is not low, far-reaching in accordance with the requirements of refining the consolidated origin pill. If it is used to refine it, if it is successful, the quality of the elixir will probably be even better. When this drop of scarlet blood appeared, Xiao Yang couldn't help but feel distressed. This is a treasure that is enough to resist the full blow of a 4-star Do Emperor powerhouse. Xiao Yang fixed his eyes on the drop of scarlet blood. After a while, he flicked his fingers, and the blood flew out lightly, and finally fell into the medicine cauldron. The scarlet blood just fell into the medicine cauldron, and the powerful energy contained in it was directly blowing a gust of wind in the medicine cauldron. Seeing this, Xiao Yang frowned slightly, hesitated for a moment, and immediately gritted his teeth. The medicinal liquid and medicinal powder extracted from the snow cream ji, greenwood fruit, and dragon blood fairy vine are directly injected into the scarlet blood. Trying to fuse. All 3 contained extremely powerful energies, and under the control of Xiao Yang, a monstrous situation erupted, as if no one would accept the other, and the 3 groups of medicinal materials were also fighting against each other. Damn! Give it to me! Xiao Yang also did not expect that the power of the medicinal materials extracted from the snow cream ji, greenwood fruit and dragon blood fairy vine would have a trace of self-consciousness, which deepened the difficulty of fusing the medicinal materials, but Xiao Yang also burst out with vindictive energy, and the huge soul force swept the entire medicine cauldron, controlling the slow fusion of the power of the 3 medicinal materials. The medicinal power of the 3 medicinal herbs just fell into the scarlet blood did not cause any turbulence, but just when Xiao Yang was about to relax, a violent energy wave suddenly emerged from the scarlet blood. The gust surged out, and immediately slammed into the inner wall of the medicine cauldron. Immediately, a loud and clear sound wave spread rapidly, affecting the entire wooden house. The heavy medicine cauldron also trembled a few times at this moment. If it were not replaced by an ordinary medicine cauldron, I am afraid that this shock would have caused it to explode directly. Xiao Yang looked at the drop of scarlet blood that was rapidly churning on the surface of the medicine cauldron with a gloomy expression. A hedgehog that has entered a state of defense is like a hedgehog, and within the tumultuous hedgehog, there is a violent wave of energy that is beyond words. Clang! One after another energy fluctuations continuously impacted the inner wall of the medicine cauldron, and the loud sound waves reverberated throughout the wooden house. At this time, almost every member of the Yu family knew that it seemed that there was a little problem with Xiao Yang's refining. Is he all right? On a quiet path, Yueru's beautiful eyes frowned slightly, and then cast her gaze at the wooden house where Xiao Yang was. Xiao Yang's eyes were fixed on the power of several groups of medicinal materials in the medicine cauldron, and then he rushed towards the cauldron with all his fighting energy, instantly suppressing the riots in the cauldron, and then the soul power poured out, densely covered every corner of the medicine tripod. The video will end here.